Shows you, it has a comparison of the baked potato skins, the fried potato, and the potato chip. And it shows you all of the calories, the carbs, fats, sodium, potassium, vitamin C, and niacin in the different ones. So it shows that here sodium in potato chips is very, very, very high, 917 milligrams. But it shows that potassium, which is a good thing, is 721. Now the baked skins, they are good. They have 573, a lower level of potassium, 573 milligrams. And there is not as much salt in the raw potato. And the fat is lower. So that's the chart on that. And then the lesson we get is the vegetables are best when they're eaten fresh. When you bake and you boil them, they are superior to frying and preserving the certain vitamins. And the processing of food usually degrades the level value, and frying foods adds a lot of calories. Mm-hmm. Then we come on to our peppers, the green, the yellow, and red. And here's another chart, and these are your sweet greens and your sweet red, and they are 100 grams per portion. And you see here where you have vitamin E is very high, 1,580 micrograms, and you have just a comparison of each. So which one do you think would be much more healthier? The red or the red? Red. Okay. Then the lessons we learned from this is that red peppers are rich in vitamin A and E. Green peppers are rich in vitamin K. Vegetables are very low in calories, mostly because they are composed of water. To get a balance of vitamins, it's good to eat green, yellow vegetables every day. And here we come to our greens. You have the iceberg lettuce and the kale. Iceberg is considered a pale green. And here's another chart. And you see the comparisons between two. Let's see here. Your vitamin A is great in your kale, which is a dark green. And the potassium is high, mostly everything, and then your vitamin K is very high. So eat more kale. Not all greens are the same. Deep colored greens have more nutritional value than pale greens. Then we come to our carrots. What did Dr. Moore say about eating carrots a day? To prevent what? Cancer? Okay. So here's a chart of the raw versus the cooked carrots. And you have your charts of raw and cooked versus cooked. So we have here the potassium is high in your raw, 321 milligrams versus 235 in the cooked. Your calcium in the raw is higher. Your riboflavin, vitamin B2, is high in your raw carrots. So you can see that your vitamin A is high, 12,036 international units. You got all of these high and more value in nutrition in your raw carrots. So lessons learned from here. Cooking makes some changes in the nutritional value. It reduces the amount of values in vegetables, but it increases the amount of other vegetables. Steaming is best. Sister Hawkins said she steams her cabbage. That's what you said. If boiling, you use little water and use as little water as possible. And you only cook it until it's just tender, not till it's so soft, it's so mushy you can't even eat it. And you eat raw vegetables and cooked vegetables, a little bit of each. Then we come to our analyst evaluation of the tomato products. You got your raw tomato on the vine, the canned tomatoes, and the ketchup. Stewed canned. And then here are the nutritions in tomato products. The raw versus the tomato can versus the ketchup sauce. And then you have, let's see here, which one would you think would be more nutritional to you? The raw tomato, the can, or the ketchup? The raw. Okay. We've got less water. Well, we've got more water, which is good. Less calories. We have less fat, 0.2 grams. We have less sugar. And we have less, well, slightly elevated, but 237 milligrams of potassium. And we have 5 milligrams, which is excellent, of sodium compared to 1,114 milligrams of ketchup that we put on our French fries.
That's supposed to be per tablespoon or what?
Pardon me?
That's supposed to be per tablespoon or teaspoon or?
Per portion. What would you say? Would it be tablespoon or a plate or what?
No one uses a tablespoon. They just keep
Tablespoon.
That's what it is.
Okay, and then we have our vitamin C, which is raw tomato would be, you get a lot there, 137 milligrams. Your beta carotene, you get 449 in the tomato raw. It seems like you get more in your ketchup, 560. And your vitamin A, you get a good amount, 833 international units, but in ketchup you get 933. And that's because I think of the processing that goes on. It does something to change the chemicals in it. Then the lycopene, you get good, 2,573 milligrams, as opposed to the ketchup, which is much higher, 16,709. Okay, and then the lessons you get from the tomato is that they're low in calories.
Mm-hmm.
How many like tomatoes?
tomato sandwiches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Tomato sandwich,
and
that's right.
you get as you get a reduction in your vitamin C, and you get an increase in your sodium and lycopene. Now, when I was reading, I was saying, what is lycopene? Lycopene is a bright red carotene pigment that's found in your tomatoes and other red fruits and vegetables, such as red carrots, watermelons, and papayas, but not in strawberries or cherries. So, and it does not have a vitamin A activity. Oh, there I go. So here we have, in our next category, we have fruits and vegetable intake and mortality or death rate from ischemic heart disease. This is a result from the European Perspective Investigation into Cancer and Nutrition. This is a heart study. These are the risk of death from heart disease based on the servings of fruits and vegetables per day. And you can see in the last column that if you eat more than 8 portions of fruits and vegetables per day, you have a lower incidence of risk of death from heart disease.
That's right.
But the less you take of your vegetables and servings, your increase goes up. The bottom line, each portion increase in the consumption of fruits and vegetables was associated with a 5% lower risk of dying from coronary heart disease. And next category would be fruits and vegetable intake and risk of colorectal cancer in the NIH AARP Diet and Health Study. The colorectal would be the colon and the rectum cancer, and it's taken about by the International Health AARP Diet and Health Study. But, okay, let's see here. Did I have that one? Which number is that? I don't think I had that one.
I don't know. You can go on back.
There you
Yeah.
Right there.
That's right, okay.
Colorectal cancer in men by very low intake of fruits and vegetables and by the servings per 1,000 calories per day. This was a study mostly on men. And it showed that those men who had very low intake of fruit and vegetables, who ate less than one portion, had a higher incidence of colorectal cancer, as opposed to those who ate more fruits and vegetables, greater than 2.0 portions of fruits and vegetables with 1,000 calories per day, had a lower chance of colorectal cancer in men. Conclusion. We observed that vegetable intake was associated with a lower risk of colorectal cancer for men. I'm not going to say for women because they didn't even go over women.
Right.
The association was stronger among individuals with very low intake of fruits and vegetables. And this suggests that we should have a certain daily amount of vegetable consumption in order to increase our risk of colon and rectal cancer. Then we had dietary risk factors for colon cancer in a low-risk population. And here is another chart. Now these are people that had ate meat, greater than one portion or more a week. People who occasionally ate red and white meat, and people who never ate red meat, vegetarian. Now those who ate more or equal to one portion of meat a week but their risk for cancer was much greater. Those who occasionally ate red or white meat, their risk for cancer came down slightly. But those who were vegetarians and who just ate the nuts, fruits, and grains, they had a very significant decline or reduction in the risk of colon cancer. So meat really does play a part in your in cancer. Here we have the risk of colon cancer by the BMI or the body mass index. And we see here, let's go at this one. Those who had a body index of greater than 2.5.6, isn't that in the range of where you have overweight? You're in the overweight category.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they had let's see, let me think now. They had a greater risk of colon cancer, but those who ate less, who had a
BMI.
body index of 22.5 had a lower risk of colon cancer.
Right.
So the fat, that does play a part too. That's an indicator. Okay, and then the risk of colon cancer by legumes or your beans, all different types of variety. In this group, they had those who ate more than 2 portions per week of beans, peas, and black-eyed peas, and navy beans, and all those types of beans. Then they had a less risk of colon cancer. And then you go to the group that had, they ate about 1 to 2 portions of legumes. Their risk went up slightly. And then those who did not eat any to less than 1, they really went up. So beans are important, they help us. And in the conclusion, and that was an Adventist study, it says in the conclusion, the Adventist study identified red meat and white meat, and then I'm going to put in beans as important dietary risk factors for colon cancer. Next category would be fruit and vegetable intake and esophageal cancer, and then a large prospective cohort study. Let's see. This is more information, but because I have not a lot of time, maybe I'll just go over it. In the United States, but this was in 2010, they had 16,640 new cases, 14,500 deaths.
Wow.
There was a 5-year survival, 16%. And they did observation. They followed these people in person years for 2,193,751, I guess, hours. And then they go fall down into 2 categories. You have the squamous, is that how you pronounce it? Squamous cell cancers of the esophagus. You have the adenocarcinomas of the esophagus.
Wow.
Okay, and here's the squamous cell cancer risk by total fruit and vegetable. You got 5 group studies. The lowest group study had that partook of the fruit and vegetables had the lowest incident of squamous cell cancer. Now, what is squamous cell cancer? Do anybody know? Yes, the skin.
Skin. Oh.
So those who took more fruit and vegetable had the lowest incidence of squamous cell cancer. And then it goes up. The less fruit that you take, the more you go up. So here they took more fruit. Well, actually, it looks to me like it's the same, but it's not. 0.44, 0.46.
Right.
So the
It's
more
slightly.
you eat, the less you get.
Right.
And so they didn't eat, there's less, 0.66. The numbers are going up, 0.74, 0.93, and on and on. Your risk of cancers are high. Then the adenocarcinoma of the esophagus. And then they had this one study that showed the risk by spinach. Now, I don't know, they just put the one vegetable study here. But what they're saying is that your vegetables did not have that much of an impact. For those who did not eat, it was very high. Then it came down for those in this group too, who did not eat as much spinach. It came down a little bit, and then it came down just slightly more by the spinach of 0.66. In conclusion, total fruit and vegetable intake was slightly associated with decreased esophagus squamous cell carcinoma, but not esophagus adenocarcinoma. Words, tongue-tied.
Yes.
Fruit and vegetable intake and head and neck cancer risk in a large United States prospective cohort study. And then right here, I was looking at this and the different categories at the bottom. This is group 1, and it's all these different groups, group 5. And I don't know why they put group 1 there, and then they have all the rest, group 5. So I'm going to go on the group 5. Group 5 has categories of vegetables, all fruit and vegetables, all fruit, solid fruit, fruit juice. Now you can see that just taking fruit juice, your chances or risk of head and neck cancer is high, 0.94. Those who ate fruit solids, I guess, what, solid apples, you know, just plain apples, just plain oranges, whatever, they had, their risk was 0.77 for head and wrist cancer. It was down a little bit. But those who ate all fruit, all varieties of fruit, the risk was 8.87. But the one that got me was the vegetable group, the dark green. They came down 0.65 just by eating vegetables, which tells me that your plate mainly should be a lot of
Vegetables.
The largest portion should be your vegetables.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Protective effects of fruits and vegetables on development of stroke in men. And I thought this was interesting. I was going to try to take it out. Like I said, I was trying to condense it, but anyhow. Third most common cause of death in the United States, caused by hardening of the arteries. Major risk factors would be blood pressure, high cholesterol, and cigarette smoking. Signs and symptoms of stroke depend on where in the brain that the damage occurs, and often there is a paralysis of certain muscle groups. Your vision and your speech are often affected. And then we have the strokes by fruits and vegetables. Servings of fruits and vegetables per day. And they're saying that 6 to 7, because I don't think anybody eats 8 to 19 portions of fruits, but 6 to 7 would be a good and generous amount of fruits and vegetables today to help you to decrease your risk of stroke. And that was stroke per 1,000. I guess 1,000 people were in that study.
Gotcha.
And let's see, here are fruits and vegetables. They help to improve your bone mineral intake. This was another study. Boys and girls, ages 16 to 18, women, middle age, 23 to 37 years of age, and older men and women, ages 60 plus. And then the young boys and girls, older women, when they ate more fruit by 400 grams a day, they resulted in higher bone density in the spine and the hip.
That's good.
Okay, and then we're going to talk about fruit and vegetables. They promote weight loss by producing energy density. And this was another group study. They had 97 obese women divided into 2 groups, followed for 1 year. And the reduced fat intake group, and the reduced fat intake and the increased rich water fruit and vegetables. So those who ate in that group ate more fruit by weight, and they reported less symptoms of hunger, because you know how you get hungry every time, you know, a little bit after you eat. The reduced fat group lost in that study 14.1 pounds, and the reduced fat and fruit and vegetable group lost 17.4 pounds.
Interesting.
Now, this is something it blew my mind. Vegetable consumption will slow your cognitive, your thinking skills down. And it had 3,718 men and women ages 65 plus followed for 6 years. And tell me, it says the mean cognitive score declined by 22.2 per year. So does that mean that our mental thinking goes down by that every year? I mean, pardon? Yeah. So,
that's kind of deep.
Individuals who consumed at least 2.8 servings of vegetables per day slowed that rate down by 40% compared with those who ate less than 1 serving per day. And that's good for us who are up there and us senior citizens. Okay, and it says the decrease is equivalent to about 5 years of younger age. That's good to know. Then we talk about the risk of head and neck cancer by fruit and vegetable intake. And this is another study, and it's talking about all fruit and vegetables had a reduction of 35% in the risk of head and neck cancer by eating fruit and vegetables. All fruits help to reduce by 13%. Beans and peas had a risk of 20%. Your apples, your peach, plums, pears, strawberries. Now, I had to look that one up and see what the percentage was on that one. Fruit and vegetables, Mexican store. If I can see. That has, because the last three didn't have the percentages.
Oh, okay.
And, okay, that's your picnic. Give me a minute here, see if I can find it. And I don't have it down. I had written it down, but I don't have it down. But anyhow, the last three, yeah. The apples, peach, plum, pears, and strawberry was reduced. And I don't know what the percentage is. And the peppers and the tomatoes were reduced. And the carrots were reduced.
Okay.
So if you all can figure that out, tell me.
Top this fruit.
Okay, well then I have more, but anyhow, I stopped it. Eat more. Thank you. Was that under? The timing was.
Oh, it's okay. That's all right.
Look good on camera, girl.
Oh, didn't know.